Okay, we've talked about idea kernels, we've talked about customer space, we've talked about uh, business models, and now we're going to talk about market space, or we could also call it industry space. It's really about the competitive environment and where you fit in the competitive environment with respect to the development of your potential business opportunity. So a quick recap from last time. We talked about again what a business model was. Basically how does your business make money and deliver value to the customer, and why that's important. Self-evident, I would hope now. What is business model innovation? You know, how and why our development and tweaking of business model is so important these days as we endeavor to build a company that creates value for customers, owners, and society, and why that's important, which is again relatively clear. Now, how does that fit in what we're going to talk about today? Well, your business model is affected by your competitors' business models. That only makes sense. The success of your business model is also affected by your competitors' business model. To launch a successful product, we must understand the market, the industry, the competition, etc., because all of those things have an impact on our startup decisions and our management decisions as we try to rapidly grow our enterprise. Okay, a market attractiveness. You know, we want to enter a market that's attractive. That goes without saying. And what does that mean? Okay. Well, in part, what sort of business do you want to be in? Okay. Some people try to create businesses in industries that they have some personal feelings toward. Someone likes art, so they want to start an art gallery. Someone likes surfing, so they want to start a surf shop. There's nothing wrong with that, absolutely not. But those tend to be lifestyle businesses. Lifestyle business is a business that you can run and manage, and that provides support, financial support for your family. Okay, but it's not one that is endeavoring to rapidly grow. It's not one that will need substantial external capital to grow. It's not one that wants to grow outside of its local area, outside of its national area, and be a global enterprise. And not all businesses can do that. Not all businesses should aspire to do that, and not everybody wants to do that. So there's nothing wrong with that. But in this course, we're looking at those sorts of businesses that have that growth potential. So how large is the market for your particular product or service? This is a question that's always going to come up. It's a question that you're always going to have an answer for, especially if you're seeking external capital, oftentimes if you're seeking partners, but if you're seeking support in general, you need to know how big the market is. How many ways have you measured it? Okay, that might sound like a silly question, but it actually is not. Have you measured it in terms of total sales volume? Have you measured it in terms of units sold? Have you measured it in terms of number of actors or competitors in the marketplace? Have you looked at it domestically or internationally or locally, regionally? So there are many ways in which you can look at the market. How fast has the market grown in the last 1, 3, 5 years? Is it growing at a constant rate? Is it growing at an accelerated rate? Is it growing at all? How fast will it grow in the short term? Now we'll talk about why growth is important a little later on. But while it's not essential to start a business in a growing market, it can be helpful. This is not to say that there's not market opportunities in markets that are not growing, or in fact in markets that are collapsing, because there certainly are. What factors, kind of macro factors, economic, demographic, social, regulatory, environmental, have an impact on that growth? What successful business models are the players that are in this business using now? if you know the answer to some of these questions, you can begin to formulate an idea of how attractive this market may be. And you can start thinking about, is this a business, is this an industry that you want to endeavor to join? Okay, so what we're going to talk about in market space are these four things, and this is like a quick overview. 1, market industry definition and analysis. 2, competitive analysis. 3, we're going to talk about features and benefits. And 4, likely competitive response. So, the market problem. How big is the market? Now, as we were just saying, it's important for the market to be growing fast. We'll get to that in a second. But the size of the market, understanding the size of the market is important, because we are only going to get a fraction of the market, especially if we're just starting out. So let's say we calculate that the market is 100 million euro. 100 million euro. And there are currently 3 or 4 competitors in this marketplace. Now, we enter this market. When we start, how much market share are we going to have? We're going to have 0. Let's say we're really successful in our first year and we're able to get 5% of the market, which is substantial. What's 5% of a 100 million euro market? That's 5 million euro. That's not very big. Now, let's say we had to have a substantial investment to get going. Let's say we had to raise some venture capital. Having a business that's 5 million in sales is puny. In fact, if you're going to raise external capital, you really need to have markets that are in the billion euro range. Because again, you're only going to capture a fraction of that market. So in order for your investors to get their payback, the market needs to be substantially larger. How fast is it growing? Before I go do that, is it calculating the size of the market is something that is a challenge. First thing is that you think that your product and service is unique. Rarely is there a new product and service that's truly unique. Be that as it may, you're going to have a challenge trying to figure out the size of the market. There are studies that you can buy. There's lots of public information, but it's going to be a challenge. And you may not get it exactly right, but who really cares? What's more important is that in your investigation, in your endeavor to try to determine the size, you're going to learn a lot. And your method that led you or leads you to your decision on how big of the market is oftentimes just as important, or in fact more important, than the accuracy of the measure. The measure needs to be close, but who's to say it needs to be 100%? So how fast is the market growing? Now, the reason growth is important is because there are players in this market already. So we're looking on the outside. We want to enter this market. Okay? So if you add all the market share of all the competitors in the market, that adds up to what? It adds up to 100%. Okay? Competitor A might have 20%, competitor B might have 30%, that's 50%, and there may be 5 other players that have 10 each. So that's 100%. Okay? Well, we're outside, so we have 0. Once we enter the market and start making sales, okay, market share is going to change because there's a new player in there. So that means that by definition, we have to take market share from someone. And that means we're going to take money out of someone's pocket. Now, I don't know about you, but I really don't like it when people take money out of my pocket. And your competitors won't like it either, and they are going to react. And given that they are probably more well endowed in terms of resources, they have more money than you, they have more power than you, they know more than you, it's probably not a good idea to draw that much attention to yourself, if you can help it. Well, one way you can help it is by entering a market that's growing. If you enter a market that's growing, and you will take market share from someone, but since the overall sales volume is growing, the overall sales of the competitors can continue to grow, even though their market share may decline slightly. So they'll be less likely to take or react against your entry. And the faster the market is growing, the faster you can grow and kind of hide in that growth. So is it possible for us to affect the growth of a market? Can we, generally by education, educating the competitors, educating the customers and potential customers about our solutions to their problems, we educate the market, and we perhaps can pull some people that are off on the sidelines to get into the market, and we expand the market. So oftentimes we can have a significant effect on the growth of the market. Now, is that wise? We could argue yes, no. But for example, let's say we have a product or service that we think is good, and we educate the market on how to use our product and service. Okay, so we cause them to come into the market. Now, they may try us, or they may try a competitor. But if we have an offering that sort of locks them in through contract or whatever, or through our creation of loyalty, and we expand the market, then perhaps we can hold on to some of these competitors. So educating the market is generally expensive, but it often can be a significant strategy, because we don't have to shake loyal customers from the competitors. We just pull people that have been sitting on the sideline, and we bring them in to the market. They have no loyalty to anybody, and perhaps we can create that loyalty with them. So we can debate whether or not we should affect the growth of the market, or can we affect the market, but we should at least think about it. Okay. Well, actually, that time went by really fast, so let's take a quick break here, and I'll be back shortly.